All right, so you're ready to dive into the world of entrepreneurship, huh? Got your copy, start your own business ready. We're going to help you actually use it. I know how it is, those business books can pile up quick.
That's right. Good intentions sometimes just turn into, well, a stack of books. But seriously, turning those ideas into action,
Yeah.
that's what makes all the difference, especially when you're just starting out.
Totally. No time for procrastination.
Yeah.
Right. This book, though, doesn't mess around. It's like, hold up a sec. Are you sure you're cut out for this? They really want you to look in the mirror before you quit your day job.
Absolutely. It all comes down to risk, right?
Yep.
How much are you willing to put on the line? The book even talks about this entrepreneur so gung-ho they were ready to bet the house.
Mhm.
Do you relate to that, or are you more of a play it safe kind of person?
It's that classic question, right? Are you in or are you out? But hey, no judgment here. The book actually says there's no shame in starting slow, maybe a side hustle, while you keep the 9 to 5. Didn't they mention some advice from Arnold Sano? The you can start your own business guy, specifically for those part-timers out there.
They do, they do. We'll
Mm.
circle back to that later. Essentially, he's all about honestly looking at what you've got, your resources, your time, your support system. It's like you don't need to go all in on day one to build something successful.
Okay, now you've got me curious. I'm going to need that secret sauce for part-time success. But first, let's talk about the heart of any business. The big idea. I was blown away by this stat. 600,000 plus businesses launch every year just here in the US, but millions more people think about starting one and never do. What do you think holds people back?
Oh man, it's a mix of things for sure. Fear of failing, not enough money, maybe just feeling overwhelmed. But here's where start your own business throws you a curveball. Build it or buy it. It's not just about coming up with an idea, but deciding, do you want to create this thing from scratch, or are you going to step into something that already exists?
Okay, so we're talking franchises, maybe taking over a family business. That's a whole other level of decision making.
Exactly. And they're smart about it. They frame it as a spectrum, not just two options. Starting from zero gives you all the creative control, but man, it's a grind. Think of it like climbing Everest. Buying an existing business, that's like starting your hike a few thousand feet up. You've got systems, customers, maybe even a brand people recognize.
Okay, so less Everest, more like base camp. I get it. But even then, due diligence is key, right? You don't want to buy someone else's problems. The book had that warning about fad businesses, right? Risky business there.
Oh yeah, remember fidget spinners? Everyone had one for about 5 minutes. That's a fad business. Explodes in popularity, disappears just as fast, leaves a lot of people with warehouses full of, well.
Ugh.
So yeah, whether you're starting from the ground up or buying in, do your homework.
No one wants to be stuck with a warehouse full of fidget spinners, that's for sure. Which brings us to knowing your market. This is one of my favorite parts. The book says it's like trying to sell veggie burgers at a steakhouse, which I love. You've got to know who you're selling to, what they want, what they need, maybe even what they dream of.
Absolutely. They even have this target market worksheet, and it's great because it goes beyond the basics like age or where they live.
Mm.
It asks you to think about things you might not expect.
Okay, spill the beans. What kind of questions are we talking about?
So, one that really stood out to me was, what are their hobbies and interests? Might seem random, right? But if you know what your customers are passionate about, how they spend their free time, it tells you a lot about their lifestyle. Then you can tailor your message to really resonate with them.
So it's not just about selling a product, it's about tapping into their lifestyle, their values, right?
Exactly. Another one they ask is, where do they get their information? Are they glued to their phones, scrolling through social media? Or are they more old school, reading newspapers, listening to the radio? This is crucial for knowing where to reach them.
Makes sense. You wouldn't put up a billboard in the middle of nowhere if all your customers live in the city. You got to go where they are.
Exactly. It's about making your marketing count. Speaking of which, we've got to talk about the paperwork. Specifically, choosing the right legal structure.
Okay, this is the part where I usually zone out a little. All those legal terms, it's enough to make your head spin. But the book actually makes it pretty painless. They have this great cheat sheet that lays out the options: sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, the whole 9 yards.
It's brilliant in its simplicity. It boils down to three things:
Mm.
liability, taxation, and how much separation do you want between your personal stuff and your business stuff.
Okay, so break it down for me. Let's start with sole proprietorships. What's the deal there?
Well, a sole proprietorship, it's like jumping into the deep end without a life vest. Easiest to set up, but you and your business are legally the same thing. So if things go south, your personal assets, your house, your car, it's all on the line.
Yikes. Talk about high stakes.
And on the tax side, Everything's reported on your personal income tax return. Could be good if you're losing money, but if you're making bank, be ready for a potentially big tax bill.
Okay, so maybe not the bank option if you're risk averse. What about partnerships? Is it just a case of two heads are better than one?
Partnerships are tricky. They could be great, sharing the workload, bouncing ideas off each other, but things can get messy fast if the partnership sours, especially if you don't have clear agreements from the get-go.
It's like who gets the dog in a divorce, but for your business,
Yeah.
probably best to have a good lawyer, right?
Absolutely. Now, if you're looking for a little more protection, an LLC might be the way to go. It's like having a shield between your personal assets and your business assets. Offers limited liability. So if the business goes into debt or gets sued, your personal stuff is generally protected.
Okay, that sounds a little safer. But I'm guessing this extra protection comes with a price, right?
There's always a trade-off. LLCs can be more complex to set up and maintain. More paperwork, maybe higher filing fees. But on the plus side, you have more flexibility when it comes to taxes. You can choose to be taxed as a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or even a corporation, depending on what works best for you.
So LLCs, more hoops to jump through, but potentially more peace of mind. Got it.
Now, before we move on from the legal stuff, the book tells this crazy story about value billing gone wrong. What happened there? Oh, this is a classic cautionary tale. So this entrepreneur wants to save some money, right? Hires a lawyer who promises value billing. Sounds great at first, but then the invoices start rolling in, and those value-based fees are through the roof. Turns out, what the lawyer considered valuable wasn't exactly in line with the entrepreneur's budget.
Ouch. That's an expensive lesson to learn. I guess the takeaway here is no matter who you're working with, clear communication and a solid contract are essential.
Absolutely. Protect yourself, set clear expectations, and avoid those financial surprises. Now, speaking of finances, let's talk about funding. I'm guessing the book goes beyond just hitting up the bank for a loan.
You're reading my mind. There's got to be more than one way to skin a cat, right? What other options do they lay out?
Well, there's always the good old-fashioned friends and family route.
Yeah.
But word of advice, tread carefully.
Oh, yeah. Borrowing money from loved ones can get messy fast.
Exactly. Money and family, not always a winning combination. The book actually advises caution there, because if things go south, it can strain those relationships. Imagine having to explain to your Uncle Bob at Thanksgiving why his investment went up in smoke.
Talk about awkward family dinners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd rather face a room full of hungry relatives than try to explain that. So if Aunt Carol's off limits, what other options are on the table?
It's interesting how much this book focuses on the people part of things.
Right, like we talked about hiring a team, keeping customers happy, but they even get into company culture, which is so important.
Absolutely. It's like they say, you can have the best product in the world, but if your team's miserable, it's going to show.
So true. So how do they recommend creating that positive vibe?
Communication is key. Sounds simple, but they really stress that open, honest communication is a must. And it's got to be a two-way street, not just the boss talking down to everyone.
Right, everyone needs to feel heard. What else do they highlight?
Setting clear expectations from the get-go. The book points out that when people don't know what's expected of them, that's when things get messy. Define those roles, make those responsibilities clear, and everyone knows what they're working towards.
Makes sense. No one likes feeling lost or unsure in their job. Clear communication, clear expectations. Anything else?
Oh, and regular feedback. Not just once a year at those dreaded performance reviews, but ongoing, constructive feedback. Celebrate the wins, address the hiccups early on.
It's about making feedback a normal part of the work life, not a scary event.
Exactly. And it's not all serious business either. They talk about creating a sense of community within the team.
Oh, yeah, because who wants to work in a silo all day? Team bonding, that's important.
Absolutely. Team building activities, celebrating milestones together, even just encouraging people to chat and get to know each other makes a huge difference.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Exactly. A strong team, a positive culture, that's what attracts and keeps the best people. Which reminds me, remember those 10 things a killer loan proposal needs?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to take notes. Hit me with those funding secrets.
All right, so picture this. You're pitching your business idea to investors, right? You need that funding to make it big. First things first, you need a killer executive summary.
Okay, so like a super condensed, attention-grabbing pitch.
Exactly. You've got to grab their attention right off the bat. Clearly explain your idea, who you're selling to, and what makes you different. Make them want to hear more.
Got it. Executive summary. Check. What's next?
Time to dive into the details. Your business description. This is where you really paint the picture of what you're selling, who's going to buy it, who you're up against, your overall game plan.
Okay, so it's like, here's the quick version, now let me wow you with the full story.
Exactly. You're showing them you've done your homework and you're serious about this.
Business description,
Yeah.
check, now what?
Data, my friend. Investors want proof, not just promises. This is where your market analysis comes in. You need to show them there's an actual demand for your brilliant idea.
Right, because a great idea without a market is like, well, it's just an idea.
Exactly. This is where you whip out your market research, your competitor analysis, and any stats that back up your claims.
Market analysis, check. What's next on our loan proposal adventure?
The who behind the what, your management team. Highlight their experience, their skills, their passion for this project.
Like assembling a super team, each person bringing their A game.
Exactly. You're showing them you've got the right people in place to make this thing fly.
All right, dream team assembled, check. What's next?
Now it's time to talk money. But not just how much you need, but how you're going to make that money work for them. Your financial projections.
Okay, so we're talking income, expenses, cash flow, the whole shebang.
Exactly. Project those financials 3 to 5 years out. Make it realistic, back it up with data, and show them you know how to handle money responsibly.
Got it. Financial projections. Check. What else?
This one might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people fumble it. Clearly state your funding request. How much money are you asking for, and what are you going to do with it?
Right, because I need money to make more money isn't exactly a convincing pitch.
Exactly. Be specific. Break down how much you need for each part of the business. Marketing, equipment, inventory, you name it.
Okay, so a budget within a budget. Show them you're not just going to go on a spending spree.
Exactly. It shows you've thought this through, you're organized, and you're responsible with their investment.
Use of funds. Check. What's next?
Now it's time to talk repayment. This is where you lay out your plan for paying back that loan. Interest rate, loan term, payment schedule, the whole 9 yards.
So it's not just about getting the money, but showing them you've got a solid plan to pay it back.
Exactly. Be realistic, be responsible, and show them they can trust you to make good on your word.
Repayment plan.
Mm.
Check. Anything else?
This one's optional, but it can give you an edge. Collateral.
Oh, right. Like offering something up as security in case things go sideways.
Exactly. Could be
Wow.
business assets, personal assets, whatever you're comfortable with. It shows you're serious and willing to put your money where your mouth is.
Collateral. Check. If you're feeling bold, what's the final touch?
Think of it as the cherry on top. Appendices. This is where you include any supporting documents that make your case even stronger. Your business plan, financial statements, market research, anything that adds credibility.
It's like saying, don't just take my word for it. Look at all this proof.
Exactly. Appendices show you're prepared, professional, and you've got nothing to hide.
Wow, that's a lot to cover, but it sounds super thorough. Okay, so we've conquered the loan proposal mountain. Now, let's shift gears back to those different location options for businesses. We talked about home-based, co-working spaces, mobile businesses, and pop-ups, but let's dig a little deeper.
Sounds good. Let's start with those home-based businesses. Super popular these days, especially with more people working remotely.
Right. Who doesn't love the idea of ditching the commute and working in their PJs? But what are the real perks beyond the comfy clothes?
Well, financially speaking, it's a game changer. No more rent for an office, lower utility bills. You're saving money left and right.
Talk about boosting those profit margins. What else?
Flexibility is huge. Set your own hours, work at your own pace, create a schedule that fits your life, not the other way around.
Okay, so we've got lower overhead, more flexibility, working in your PJs. Sounds pretty dreamy. But there's got to be a downside, right? It can't all be sunshine and rainbows.
You're right, there are always two sides to the coin. One challenge is separating work life from home life when your office is also your living room.
Right. It's easy to end up working all the time when your computer is just a few steps away.
Exactly. And then there's the isolation factor. When you're used to being around colleagues, working from home can get lonely.
Okay, so boundaries and loneliness, those are definitely things to consider. Anything else?
Depending on your business, a home address might not scream professional.
Hmm?
Clients might not take you as seriously if you're meeting them at your kitchen table.
Right. First impressions matter, and you want to project that image of success. So, home-based businesses. Great for some, but not for everyone. What about co-working spaces? How do those stack up?
Co-working spaces are great, especially if you're craving that office vibe, but don't want to be tied down to a long-term lease.
Right. You get the best of both worlds. What are some of the other perks?
Well, they're usually way more affordable than traditional office spaces. Flexible memberships, you can rent a desk by the day, the week, the month, whatever works for you.
So it's perfect for startups, freelancers, anyone who doesn't need a dedicated office 24/7. What else?
The networking opportunities are incredible. You're surrounded by other entrepreneurs, creatives, remote workers, all kinds of people.
It's like a built-in network just waiting to be tapped into.
Exactly. And don't forget about the amenities. High-speed internet, printers, meeting rooms, usually even free coffee.
It's like all the perks of an office without the corporate stuffiness.
Exactly. And many places organize events, workshops, networking mixers, so you've got even more chances to connect and learn.
Co-working spaces sound pretty awesome, but are there any downsides?
Well, privacy can be an issue. It's an open environment, so if you're dealing with confidential stuff, it might not be the best fit.
Right, not every business can thrive in a fishbowl. Anything else?
Distractions can be a challenge too. Lots of people around, conversations, phones ringing. It could be tough to focus if you're easily distracted.
Okay, so co-working spaces. Great for collaboration and community, but maybe not ideal for everyone. Now, what about those mogul businesses? Those always pique my interest.
Ah, yes. Taking your business on the road. It's all about bringing your product or service directly to the customer, wherever they are.
I love that. Food trucks, mobile boutiques, it's all about convenience these days.
Exactly. And it allows you to tap into different markets, test out new locations, without being tied down to one spot.
So it's flexible and you can go where the customers are. What about the financial side of things?
Usually much lower overhead than a traditional storefront. No rent to worry about, and you can be strategic about the events and locations you choose to maximize your profits.
Makes sense. But I imagine there are some unique challenges too, right?
Logistics can be tricky. You're constantly on the move, so you really need to stay organized with your inventory. Scheduling, even just finding parking, could be a headache.
Right. Running out of your best-selling item in the middle of a rush would be a nightmare.
Exactly. And then there's the whole weather factor. You're at the mercy of Mother Nature, which can be unpredictable, to say the least.
Okay, so mobile businesses, super flexible and convenient, but be prepared for those logistical hurdles and the occasional rainy day, both literally and figuratively.
Exactly. Now, speaking of unique business models, let's talk about those trendy pop-up shops.
Oh, yes. Pop-up shops are so hot right now. What's the deal with those?
It's all about creating a buzz, offering something unique and limited time only.
People love that get it before it's gone mentality.
Exactly. It's a win-win for both businesses and customers. Businesses get to test new ideas, generate excitement, and connect with customers in a more personal way, and customers get a unique shopping experience that they won't forget.
Right. It's about creating an experience, not just selling a product. So, pop-up shops. A fun, flexible, and engaging way to do business. I'm sold. But let's shift gears from the physical location to the tools and tech that power our businesses. I know we touched on this earlier, but the book really emphasizes choosing the right tools for the job.
Absolutely. And they're big on not getting caught up in the shiny object syndrome, buying every new gadget or software that comes out.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's easy to get distracted by all the bells and whistles.
Right. Focus on the tools that will actually help you run your business better, not just the ones that look cool.
So where do they recommend starting? What are the essentials?
Start with the basics. A reliable computer, fast internet, a secure Wi-Fi network. Sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people overlook these.
It's like having a fancy sports car, but no gas in the tank, right?
Exactly. Once you've got those covered, then you can start exploring tools that streamline your workflow and make your life easier.
Okay, so give us some examples. What kind of tools are we talking about?
Project management software is a lifesaver. Keeps you organized, helps you manage tasks, deadlines, keeps everyone on the same page. Trello, Asana, Monday.com, there are tons of options.
Oh, yeah. Project management software is like having an extra brain, which I desperately need sometimes. What else?
CRM software is essential, especially as your business grows. It helps you manage customer interactions, track leads, build those relationships. Salesforce, HubSpot, those are popular choices.
Right, because happy customers are repeat customers. What else should we be thinking about?
Email marketing is still a powerhouse. Keeps you connected with your customers, promotes your products or services, builds brand loyalty. MailChimp, Constant Contact, those are good ones to check out.
I feel like I need a whole separate notebook just for tech tools. How do they recommend staying on top of it all?
Stay curious, read industry blogs, attend webinars, talk to other entrepreneurs. The tech world moves fast, so you got to stay informed.
Right, what's cutting edge today might be ancient history tomorrow. Speaking of adapting, let's talk about managing that awesome team you've built.
Ah, yes, the people part. This book really emphasizes that leadership isn't about bossing people around. It's about inspiring them, motivating them, creating a culture where they can do their best work.
It's about being a leader, not just a boss, right?
Exactly.
Ugh.
Lead by example, set high standards, and hold yourself accountable. And of course, communication is key. Listen to your team, give feedback, both good and bad, and make sure everyone feels heard and valued.
Because a happy team is a productive team. What else do they say about creating that winning culture?
They talk about the importance of being decisive, taking risks, and learning from your mistakes.
Because nobody's perfect, and those failures are often our best teachers.
Exactly. Create an environment where it's okay to experiment, to try new things, and to learn from those experiences.
Love it. So we've covered building a team, leading effectively, but what about the actual selling part, closing those deals?
Ah, yes. The art of the sale. Start Your Own Business has a ton of great tips on this.
Hit me with those sales secrets.
First and foremost, build relationships. People buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Right, it's all about building that connection.
Exactly. Ask questions, listen to their needs, and position your product or service as the solution to their problems.
So it's not about pushing a product, it's about solving a problem.
Exactly. Create a sense of urgency, highlight the benefits, and don't be afraid to ask for the sale.
Okay, I'm taking notes. What about those tricky objections?
Handle them with grace and confidence. Listen to their concerns, address them honestly, and reaffirm the value you bring to the table.
It's about turning a no into a maybe and a maybe into a yes.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've talked about building a team, selling effectively, but we can't forget about those VIPs, our customers.
Absolutely. Customer service is everything. It's about going above and beyond to create an amazing experience for every customer, every time.
Because in today's world, word of mouth is everything.
Exactly. Happy customers are your best marketers. Respond to inquiries promptly, resolve issues quickly and efficiently, and always be looking for ways to wow them.
Because exceeding expectations is what sets you apart from the competition.
Exactly. And when mistakes happen, because they will, own up to them, fix them, and use them as learning opportunities.
Right. A customer complaint isn't a failure, it's a chance to learn and grow.
Precisely. Create a culture of exceptional customer service, and you'll reap the rewards for years to come. Now let's take a quick breather and recap everything we've covered so far about launching your business.
Wow, we've been on quite the journey. We've tackled everything from assessing our entrepreneurial readiness and crafting our big idea to navigating the legal and financial maze, finding the perfect location, choosing the right tools, building a dream team, mastering sales, and creating a customer-centric culture.
And we're not done yet. We still have more to uncover from Start Your Own Business, including some final nuggets of wisdom to set you on the path to entrepreneurial success.
All right, so we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into Start Your Own Business. I'm feeling inspired, ready to conquer the world, one business idea at a time.
That's the spirit. But before you launch that next billion-dollar idea, there's one more crucial ingredient for entrepreneurial success that we need to talk about.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. What's the secret sauce?
It's not really a secret, but it's often overlooked. It's the importance of continuous learning. The business world, it's constantly changing, right?
Oh yeah, it's like the Wild West out there. New trends popping up every day, technology changing at lightning speed. It can feel like a race to keep up.
Exactly. So the book really stresses that if you want to thrive as an entrepreneur, you got to be a lifelong learner.
Makes sense. You don't just learn how to run a business and then coast on autopilot, do you? So how do they recommend staying ahead of the curve?
Well, they talk a lot about staying informed, reading industry publications, attending conferences, basically immersing yourself in that world and absorbing as much knowledge as you can.
Okay, so it's like you never really graduate from the school of entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And it's not just about gathering information, it's about putting that knowledge into action. That's where experimentation comes in.
Oh, I like where this is going. Tell me more about this whole experimentation thing.
So they encourage entrepreneurs to think of their businesses as ongoing experiments. Try new things, test different approaches, don't be afraid to fail.
Because sometimes those failures are actually our biggest learning opportunities, right?
Exactly. It's all about adapting, evolving, and figuring out what works best for your business.
Love it. So we're talking about being adaptable, being experimental. But what about the mental game of entrepreneurship? Because let's face it, it can be a roller coaster.
You're telling me the book really emphasizes the importance of mindset.
Okay, so it's not just about having a great idea, it's about having the right mindset to see it through. What kind of mindset do we need to cultivate?
A positive one, for sure. One that embraces challenges, sees setbacks as learning opportunities, and never, ever gives up on the dream.
Because entrepreneurship, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
It takes guts, determination, and an unshakable belief in yourself and your vision.
so true. And it's not just about you, right? It's about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Exactly. Build a network of mentors, advisors, friends, family, people who believe in you and your vision and who will be there to support you through the ups and downs.
Because we all need a cheerleader in our corner, especially when things get tough.
Absolutely. And speaking of celebrating, the book also reminds us to celebrate our wins along the way.
Oh, I love that because it's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to acknowledge how far we've come.
Exactly. Take the time to celebrate those milestones, big and small. It's a great way to stay motivated and appreciate the journey.
So true. Because as we've learned today, entrepreneurship is definitely a marathon, not a sprint,
Ah.
but it's a marathon worth running, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the right mindset, the right support system, and a willingness to learn and adapt, anything's possible.
So well said. And on that inspiring note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into start your own business. But this is just the beginning, right?
Absolutely. This book has given us the knowledge, the tools, and the inspiration to take that next step.
So, to our listeners, we encourage you to pick up a copy of Start Your Own Business and start turning your entrepreneurial dreams into realities. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep hustling hard, and remember, the world is yours to conquer.